I can see that this is competently made, but it's not really holding my attention because it is too much like the challenges of some of these female-led spin-offs where it's like you're just giving the actress the exact same role, basically, and you're just swapping everything out.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Jet Report. I'm your host, Pablo. And joining me, as always, is Mr. Brian Schultz. And welcome back to The Void, where the stuff that people need to be talking about aren't being talked about. But these things are very exciting nonetheless. We got some more He-Man description, which Brian and I are hoping certain things aren't shown or given to us this early. The Highlander cast keeps casting individuals that we say this is going to be something crazy, right? Some possible Miami Vice casting for Miami Vice, Michael B. Jordan, Glenn Powell. Star Wars Starfighter rumored plot. A new samurai western in the John Wick universe. What's that about? So I want to hear what you got to say about it. Because I was out after he landed from 2 flights, landed on his back and got up and walked out. That's when I did the... That's when I did that. But let's start off with He-Man.
Yeah.
What's the latest with that? What's the teaser description, Brian?
Okay, so He-Mania fan site is reporting that someone has seen an unfinished version of the teaser, which is soon to be made available, and gave a description of it. Again, it's a rumor. We don't know. But I'll read you the description, and then we can talk about something that reportedly happens at the end that I was dreading. So in this, it apparently says the clip opens with Prince Adam on Earth talking to a friend, and the characters are confused because apparently Cringer is there. And so they're trying to puzzle over this green tiger. Then it says the teaser cuts to Prince Adam going to Eternia and hearing about his lineage from what appears to be the sorceress. There's some cutscenes of Prince Adam talking to the people of Eternia. You see a glimpse of Jared Leto as Skeletor, who is said to be very close to the animated series version in terms of the skull and how he looks. And then you get the raising of the sword. I have the power. And the full transformation before they show him fighting several scenes as He-Man before ending the teaser.
No. It's not true. That's impossible.
The I have the power is for the theaters, man. It's not for teasers. It's not for the mobile phone. It's not for sitting on your couch watching TV. It's for movies. If you wanted to get close to that, what you would do, I think, the way I would show it, is him raising his sword as the camera pans in. Him raising his sword, he goes like this, and then it finishes, He-Man, that's it. That's it.
I wouldn't even get that far. I would cut it here. I would cut it where you see the zoom out, and I would just see his hand and behind his head. I wouldn't even show the sword. I wouldn't even show the sword itself come out. But you're 100% right. You're 100% right. Like, again, let's give credit to Disney and Marvel when they were humming along, right? They held Avengers Assemble, man. They weren't gonna put that in no teaser. They teased you with it in the movie, for God's sake. They cut him off from saying it. They waited until the right moment. And when the right moment came, everyone drowned it out with cheers. Don't throw away. Man, it's like there's so many of these lines, right? And like from those type of shows and characters, it's like you don't throw those away in a teaser or a trailer. You don't need to. You don't need to.
Don't do it.
By the power of Grayskull, I have the power. Those things should not appear in promotional material. As you said, like if they, we'll see what they're doing with this like motion capture Thundercats thing, but you should not be seeing, Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight. You should not be seeing Thundercats Ho in any promotional material.
Nothing.
Like
nothing. Whoever would do that doesn't understand.
This is all speculation, but I read this and I was like, oh, please, God, no. that we're gonna see this in the T-Mania, T-Mania.com. Like, please,
I
God,
gotta try
no.
to get a
So
uh get on the show with one of these guys, the writer, whoever runs this website. Because if he's got connections to those people, we gotta let him know, like, yo, you can't do that, yo. Don't do that, yo. Save that.
you don't need it.
Save that.
The thing is, the character is so identifiable, right? So it's like, and if they are doing all these, as we've seen, all the costumes are so close to the show, you don't need any of those lines to be in there. This should be like a sizzle reel. This should just be like a give us the feels of like we have pulled off something completely improbable and quite honestly illogical in terms of making this thing look believable. You you do not need that. Like, I will be so
Yo,
sad. I'll be
they
so
saved
sad.
it.
They do
They
that.
saved it. They saved it in the show, yo. That was the best part. They didn't.
Yes. Yes.
Why are you gonna do that in a?
It's the same thing as like, we get a trailer for Voltron and they're like form blazing sword. If that's in the teaser, a trailer, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like, you cannot do that.
foreternia@gmail.com. We gotta write them an email.
I cannot wait to see the teaser, but I'm just like, starting to sweat. I'm like so anxious. They're gonna waste it.
Highlander cast continues to impress, Brian. Who do they have now?
Well, I just love the mix of what we're getting. Like, I love the mix of, on the one hand, you're getting athletes, and on the other hand, you're getting real actors. So, like, like, as we know, Cavill is sort of both, right, based upon his work as The Witcher. Dave Bautista is certainly both. Literally was a professional athlete in WWE, and obviously he's gone on to be a very good actor. So you're starting from a great place, but then you start adding, supporting characters that you've seen do great things both as actors and in action movies like Jaimin Hansu. And then they added another. There was a guy who wasn't a big name, but it was like an Asian martial artist who's playing another one of the immortals. And I'm like, okay, so you got a guy who's there for swordplay, for his athleticism, and he's apparently a name actor in Asia. They just added Drew McIntyre, who's another WWE superstar today. So he's playing another immortal. So I'm like, again, that's an athlete. That's probably not going to be one of your lead actors. But then they let fly that. Oh, and then on the actor side, Karen Gillan, who obviously was Nebula in Guardians, is in this movie. And now Jeremy Irons is in this movie, as is Russell Crowe. So like you have like these elder statesmen of like Academy Award winning actors who are in the supporting cast. Like, both of those guys have Oscars. It's like, this is a real movie, like a real movie. Like, and again, anytime we see this start to happen, I'm always intrigued by what got these people to say yes to what they were given, right? For Cavill and Batista, it's pretty obvious, right? And it's a passion project for both. For Jeremy Irons, like, he doesn't need to be the sick-billed guy in a Highlander remake at this stage of his career. So what did he see when he was handed this that he was like, absolutely, I will do that, and that's cool.
What's interesting to me are the words that are going to be used in this movie, Brian, to sort of describe what has to happen. There can only be one. We fighting, right? And somebody's got to go down. You know what I'm saying? So what are sort of the things, or where are these individuals in their lives seeking this ultimate pedestal, right? There's this number one situation.
So Irons is playing the leader of the Watchers, which was more of a function in the TV series. They didn't really use the Watchers in the Christopher Lambert movie, but Duncan MacLeod had an ally in one of the Watchers in the TV series. And they're just sort of this like society of people that are aware of this conquest among the immortals, but they see the immortals they're kind of generally against the immortals for the most part. So it frames Irons as an antagonist, although I would leave the door open for, as we said in the TV show, Duncan had a friend who was a Watcher, so I don't know if Irons will be all bad. But again, it's like that when you see that part, you're sort of like, that's beneath Jeremy Irons. So for him to take this is like, they must have sold him on something. Like, he must be bought in that this is going to be something pretty different. So anyway, continue to be super excited for 2027 when we get this. They still have not put a foot wrong. Again, we're a long way because they said they're not even starting shooting until 26 because of Cavill's injury. So we're a long way from footage in first teaser. But again, this is another one where I think when it hits, could get people buzzy.
Okay. Miami Vice has their rumored, I guess, A and B cast members for this to work right, because you need the two leads.
Yep.
In the
Crockett and
past, it
Tubbs.
was you need Crockett and Tubbs. So we already saw Jamie Foxx and Colin Farrell rendition. Now it seems that perhaps we may see a Michael B. Jordan and a Glenn Powell rendition. Brian, what are your thoughts on that?
And obviously, shouts to the originals, Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas from the TV show. But you and I might be a little bit on the other side of this because I think if this proves true, and supposedly this is more than rumors, supposedly this has been offered to the both of them, and they're circling it and considering it. Tonally, I think it's an interesting choice, but commercially, it seems like a home run. I mean, this seems like two very hot acting commodities, right? Powell is like arriving as a full-fledged A-lister. We get The Running Man here next month. And I think Michael B. Jordan off of Sinners has taken himself to a new level as a profile actor. And when you say, I've got Glenn Powell, Michael B. Jordan, I've got the writer and or the director of F1 and Top Gun Maverick, I mean, I feel like you're in business to do some serious business on a Miami Vice remake. So I actually was excited to see this. I got the sense you were a little more lukewarm and had more reservations about these two.
Reason why is because of Michael B. Jordan performances that we've had in the past. I will reiterate that his outing in Sinners was fantastic, and if he's not nominated for an Oscar, you gotta that Sinners and why Angela Bassett didn't win an Oscar. I think there was a headline that they required that people voting for Oscar winners should see the movie. I don't know why you would have to say that.
I think that's pretty obvious.
But for Michael B. Jordan, my hope is that he can continue transforming. I understand that for this one, they may not be having to do too much of that because it's in Miami. I don't know. I would have to wait and see what kind of lines they give him and how he delivers. I just don't want to see Michael B. Jordan all the time being Michael B. Jordan. I want to see him be that guy that whoever he says he is, we can definitely see it in his performance.
So I get exactly what you're saying. I think what's interesting about this is the bit we got about the tone Kosinski's going for. They're saying he's trying to channel more the TV series.
Okay.
If that's true, that would require Michael B. Jordan to do something else. Because the way Philip Michael Thomas plays Tubbs, that character has like both a gravity and a levity. Like if you go back to that show, that show is not to the point about dark and gritty. It's not that, right? That show is flashy.
Yeah.
It has comedic elements. Yes, it has cool action. But like Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas are not like serious 1A, 1B all the time. Whereas when Michael Mann remade it as a movie, he then went very dark and gritty. So like on the surface, when you see Michael B. Jordan, you're like, oh yeah, well, he can definitely do the Jamie Foxx version from the movie, which I don't know where you stand on that, but like that's an interesting backstory of like how invested Fox was in that or not. But like he plays it very understated, very serious, furrowed brow at all times in that movie. And Farrell, who has admitted that he was in throes of his sort of drug addiction while he plays that character, basically is like, I'm basically coked out on set. And he's like, I don't even remember like saying some of the lines that I did. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. When you watch the movie now, after you know that, some of his scenes make actually a little more sense because you can kind of see like his eyes are like bucking out of his head like while he's talking. You're like, and he's like basically admitted that he like has no idea where he is like while he's performing. It's just like this weird.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think Kosinski seems to be saying think more like the 80s TV show, not the movie remake. And if that's the case, Powell certainly to me can do that. And he seems like a very good channeling of a modern Don Johnson. And I'm like, Michael B, I'm like, now after Sinners, what I saw there, I'm like, I kind of want to see this. Like, now you had thrown at me another rumor, which was the Austin Butler Aaron Pierre combination. I also would love to see that. I mean, that's a different movie. I love to see that, but I don't hate this. I think these guys can do it, and I think they could be pretty electric in these roles.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I just hope he doesn't. I don't think he does phone it in. And the only reason why I say that, I think the performance in I think in one of the What Ifs where he was was one of the voice actors for Killmonger. I don't think it was a great performance. If you rewatch that, if anybody rewatches it, rewatch that and tell me if that was a good vocal performance.
Yeah, and I would even say, like, if you haven't seen Without Remorse, like, watch that. That should have been a lot better than it was, and he's not great in that movie, in the Tom Clancy adaptation. But that's why to me, like, Sinners to me redefined him as an actor and what was possible. I didn't know he had that in him until I went and saw that, and I was like, "Okay." And I do think he deserves a nomination. I think there's a real chance he'll get it. Can he win the award? That might be he probably would be not a betting favorite for that. But I will say it hasn't been like the best Oscars year. So like even though Sinners came out early in the year, I think there's a real case you could make for that as Best Picture. I know people are hyping it. I haven't seen One Battle After Another, and people are talking about that like it's all that in a bag of chips. But like, and that type of movie is catnip for the Academy historically. But like, Sinners might be still the most interesting movie that I've seen this year. And I hope that does, to your point, I hope that does well. And I think there's a chance that Michael B. Jordan gets a nomination, at least for the work. And we'll see where that takes him. We'll see where that takes him in his career. But I wouldn't mind him playing like a kind of like like, I don't know. Because Philip Michael Thomas's version, where Tubbs was a New York cop, right, who washed out as a New York cop, and he winds up in South Florida. But he's sort of like ladies' man, and he's sort of yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing Michael B. Jordan with that element in his personality. Let's see if he can do it.
Well,
Yeah.
Star Wars Starfighter has a possible. There has been a rumored plot. What is that,
Ugh.
Brian?
Oh, this after the intrigue of the casting announcements, reading this story kind of, if it's true, brought me down a peg. So the report on the storyline is it is a new standalone adventure, but not really, as I'll explain in a second. It unfolds 5 years after the rise of Skywalker. And it says that the kid, Flynn Gray, the kid is force sensitive. His mom is the Amy Adams character, and she's a Jedi. Ryan Gosling is not actually a Jedi, but is helping his nephew escape two evil bad guys on a chase across the stars. He's on a mission given to him by Adams' character, and the rumored endpoint is that he has to deliver the kid to the newly created Jedi Academy run by Rey.
I mean, I think we had talked about it briefly, but this seems to be what they're going for. It sounds plausible, and this is just another attempt at forcing you into this storyline that we didn't really want.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Why are you subjecting us and trying to convince us that this last trilogy, which people summarily rejected by its end, has to now have a next chapter? We have to continue on that line. Why do we have to give a lead in and a platform for this Rey movie, which I don't get the sense there's any steam for and would seem as troubled from the start? Why? Why are we shoehorning this project into that? It doesn't need to be that. It would be more interesting if it was actually a standalone adventure. It's clearly not a standalone adventure. It's a plug and play to get you to the Rey movie, which is itself a sequel to Rise of Skywalker. Like, I'm out on all of that. I'm in on the cast. I'm out on all of that. Is this ego? Is this like they can't admit they made a mistake? I don't get, why are we forcing this storyline after audiences barely gave you $1 billion for Rise of Skywalker, which is unconscionable. When you look at like No Way Home was a culmination movie, $2 billion. Endgame, culmination movie, almost $3 billion. You had a culmination movie to a Star Wars trilogy and you crawled over $1 billion? Like, that gets people fired. It doesn't get things continued.
Again, Miss Kennedy has the goods on everybody. And she's gonna do whatever she wants to do. This was her idea. I mean, she must be high on what she was able to accomplish with Andor, man. Andor was a big thing.
But Andor pulled off the impossible, which was it stayed within the world of the Skywalker timeline, but managed to explore something unique that actually gripped people in terms of exploring it. The question of how a rebellion begins, the question of management of an empire. Like, it managed to do that in a way that it stood apart from the Skywalker timeline, even as it ultimately got you back to that. This feels much more like, when I look at this movie coming and I look at Mando and Grogu, especially with the way that first official trailer came out, like, this still feels like retreating into what we know versus really handing, not saying Sean Levy is Tony Gilroy, but like handing Sean Levy the keys to say, like, yeah, really do go give us something new, in this time period. Whereas it's like, if the end of this movie is to get to Rey's movie, is that going to excite anyone? Like again, our audience is going to cheer if this kid arrives and there's Rey with her yellow lightsaber ready to welcome him in. Like, that's not a payoff to me. That's compounding a bad decision.
All they gotta do is change the timeline, and have him, and at the end of it, it's Sebastian Stan standing and waiting for them in Luke
Okay,
Skywalker's
that's
Jedi
different.
Academy.
Fair enough. You want to stay within the Skywalker world, that's different. Again, that would be going back more like the novels and the things that actually did have a real following. But I don't know, man. Every time I like see a flicker of light in the Star Wars universe, they snuff it out with what I think is a subpar idea. And I gotta say, like, this is a little tidbit. I don't know how much is going to matter, but James Mangold signed a first look deal with Paramount the other day, the new Paramount. And you're kind of like, what does that mean for Last Jedi? Is he now going to be working on movies over at Paramount and not working on Last Jedi as expected? That would be terrible news.
Dawn of the
Jedi. Yeah.
of the Jedi.
If he's
right?
not working, if that's now been
Yeah.
backburnered, that's terrible news.
The Genesis of the Jedi. That's something. That's something. A new samurai western in the John Wick universe. Brian. Q Juice, Q Tupac. I don't care. What's the latest on?
Just that it's happening. It's just that the script being written. They want a samurai western set in the John Wick universe. So this would be the second spinoff. Well, third actually, if you count the ill-fated TV series, the Continental. But like, Ballerina obviously was generally well reviewed, but again, not all that successful commercially this summer. I saw it. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I actually went to the theaters to see it.
Did you like it?
Nah, it was just too gimmicky. I mean, there was some interesting elements to it, but it just didn't. How would I? It was just doing a lot more of what we've already seen, with different weapons, but it was just a lot of that. And it's like, okay, I just can't see people just killing each other, yo. I don't care how dope you do it. There comes once in a lifetime those movies that sort of lend itself to reimagining of how things happen in a movie that requires such violence and done with such style. Like there's killers, or the killer with John
vintage
Woo. I
John
think
Woo is a
one of
whole
John.
other, Hard Boiled, The Killer. That's Better
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Hard
That's a
boiled.
different world. Yeah.
But when I saw John Wick, it reminded me of that, and they did it in a dope way. But to keep doing it with different characters,
So I agree with you. I watched Ballerina with sort of like, I can see that this is competently made, but it's not really holding my attention because it is too much like this. Again, we talk about this with the challenges of some of these female-led spinoffs where it's like you're just giving the actress the exact same role, basically, and you're just swapping everything out. And it's like, and then not only that, but in this case, I actually think they hurt Ana de Armas because they put Keanu Reeves in the movie to sell it. So it's like John Wick is right there. And you're like, she's trying to do all the John Wick things. And it's like, John Wick is right there. And I'm like, that's not helpful to her in terms of getting her character's profile to mean something. It's just reminding audiences that this is not actually John Wick. And so I kind of feel a similar risk with this, where it's like, we've already seen the samurai sword be a major weapon in like John Wick 3 and I think even John Wick 4. So it's kind of like, and this is supposedly not the spinoff with Donnie Yen's character, which is also coming. And you're kind of like, I don't know how many of these we need, because to your point, how much variety can there be? Like we talk about ideas we would pitch. I keep waiting for the Star Wars universe to actually mine the history of samurai films and stories, because that's what Star Wars originally came from. Like Kurosawa is the inspiration for a lot of what Lucas did. And I think if you look at classic samurai ideas, like I had one for like, I'll throw it out there. We were talking about like Dawn of the Jedi. I had one for like the 47 Ronin, which obviously Keanu remade as a terrible movie in 2013. But I'm saying do 47 Ronin, but as a Star Wars movie. Do it. So like I had like this random idea of like in the early days. So like you do Dawn of the Jedi. And then after Dawn of the Jedi, you have whatever villain you set up basically comes and kills a Jedi Master who is running an academy. And there's 47 survivors. And these 47 decide to do something that's never been done and is forbidden by the Jedi Order, which is they seek revenge on this guy who killed their master, which is exactly what the samurai story is. It's these 47 masterless warriors who decide to defy convention and hunt this guy down and have to fight their way through his citadel to kill him. They all die in the process. And that's the only thing that gives their life meaning. And so to me, it's like you could build an awesome Star Wars movie to me where it's like you have these 47 Jedi trainees who then decide to go on this revenge mission. And as they're going, are starting to dabble in like Sith power. So they're using dark side and light side because the only thing they care about is getting this guy and his Sith or whatever you want to call it, Sith Lord and his underlings. Like, I don't know if Star Wars doesn't look at stuff like that. I don't know that I want to see it in a John Wick universe where it's like nobody ever really dies and you can stab guys like 78 times and they just get up, you know? So I don't know. I think we're getting to the like squeezing the juice out of the John Wick universe, but I actually feel like other
we're at the trembling stage.
Other universes and IPs ought to be looking in this direction.
Oh my God. Yeah, man. I'm not interested in it. I mean, it may look cool. We'll see. Just to, it's one of those movies you'll see just to see how they do stuff and how dope they do it. If it's a samurai,
but here's the other thing. It's
different.
Like Chad Stahelski is going to be doing Highlander. That's going to be better than whatever this turns out to be. That's going to be the swordplay movie that's going to be better than this one. I can guarantee you that.
Who knows if the smell of the Highlander has gotten so far up that people are wanting to sort of piggyback, as they did with Beat Street. That's how Electric Boogaloo got to us. But let's see. But yeah, let us know in the comment section below on what you think of this episode of The Void with the possible Miami Vice cast. What do you think of what they should do with He-Man? Should they leave it out? Of course, we think they should leave it out, but they can't leave. They can't show I have the power this early.
I'm terrified, man. I'm terrified. No,
they can't.
Don't do that.
They can't. I'm telling you, we're gonna send that email. And I'm probably hopefully send them a clip of our show. And Highlander, again, like we said, Highlander's looking to be a big, big thing. Hence, we probably got this samurai western in the John Wick universe. For the swordplay, you know, this is gonna probably piggyback off of that. And the rumored plot for Star Wars, man, the Star Wars Starfighter. I mean, again, it's like they're forcing this idea. Who knows? This might be dope, and then the letdown will be that when they show us that. But we'll come to see whatever else is next. Brian, it's not like we're going to see it. That's what they're counting on. But it's their job to keep us coming multiple times, not just once. Well, let's see. So yeah, hit that like and subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you next time on the Nerd Gen Report.